The Eagles were back at it yet again today after an off day yesterday, and we are starting to see the emergence of certain players winning their positional battles. Also, a couple key breakout candidates flashing at camp, and Nick Sirianni gives his impression of Jalen Hurts and camp thus far. We'll get into it all and give you everything you need to know from day 5 of camp. But, of course, welcome into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do us a favor if you do enjoy this video. At the end, go down below and leave a like. Be sure to hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss any of the coverage. But we start off today with an update from Nick Sirianni, as one of the biggest areas to keep our eyes on is the offensive line, specifically that right guard position. And Tyler Steen was actually ruled out with an injury a couple days ago. The last practice they did have, Steen ended up hurting his ankle. So, it doesn't seem to be too long in terms of what Nick said about missing time, but as of right now, Mekhi Becton, the guy that threw up 10 times in a row on day 1, now has an opportunity to go out there and earn himself a potential spot, right? It's not locked in yet. And Nick said that Becton's going to get reps with the starting offense at right guard. Darian Kinnard came in for Steen on Saturday when Becton worked as the second team right tackle. So we viewed Becton as a potential swing tackle, but right now, depending on what happens with Tyler Steen, there is an opportunity to go out and seize the moment and maybe try to get yourself a job on the first team. So shout out to Mekhi Becton. We'll see what he can do. Also, Zach Berman with an update on the other side of the ball at cornerback, right? We heard Vic Fangio last week say that corner, linebacker, and even edge rusher are the 3 spots to keep our eyes on. And cornerback, too, has obviously been a huge topic of discussion. Zach Berman says Kelee Ringo is the player to watch for CB2. He was in there first for the 3rd consecutive day. And it really creates this interesting question in terms of what do you do with Quinyon Mitchell, right? Do you just kind of let him sit back and observe this year? Do you push him to nickel corner? Then you have Isaiah Rodgers, who can kind of play both, and he's making a good impression. What happens with Avonte Maddox? It's a good problem to have in terms of having all this depth. But I guess when people think about the Eagles' strategy and philosophy, right, they use a first-round pick on a cornerback, which they haven't done in a long time. You almost assume that that guy's going to start the year starting, And right now, it just doesn't seem like he's really advancing into that next phase yet. I believe in Quinyon Mitchell. I think he's going to be a really special player. The only knock on him in college was that he played at a small school, but he was explosive. His coverage skills are elite, and I like Quinyon, but as of right now, it seems like the 4th-round pick from 2023, Kelee Ringo, who did start 4 games last year, by the way, in terms of injuries, things like that, came in, did a decent job, I'd say, is getting the nod. So we'll see if Kelee Ringo is the guy to win out the job. Now, another player that made some strides today that we haven't really talked about much is Will Shipley. Elliott Shore-Park says it was a big Will Shipley day. Saquon Barkley did not practice due to personal reasons. And Lane Johnson was out with a toe injury. Landon Dickerson still rehabbing. Said, by the way, that slip and slide did not cause his toe injury. It was something else that I guess he stepped on. I don't know. But Will Shipley did have a big day today, and he was getting a lot of praise from reporters. They said that he got a ton of first-team reps with Barkley not practicing. So what does that mean for Kenny G? He's been out there early before practices getting in extra reps. But maybe the Eagles do view Will Shipley as the guy that can emerge as RB2 this season. He finished practice with 5 total touches on the first-team offense, most of any player, and he had a highlight catch down the sideline between 2 defenders. So Will Shipley starting to make some stride. We remember Saquon giving him a lot of praise, just coming in his first interview. So shout out to Will Shipley. But let's talk about our guy, Jalen Hurts. All right, he had a big play today to Devontae Smith. Devontae's been in here every single day. Every day we hear Devontae made this catch, made a wild catch, made a touchdown. Devontae Smith is cooking right now. We know him and AJ are going to be on top of it. And it says that we're seeing a ton of that in training camp. Kellen Moore said he's been really smooth and in command, seeing that play out in the vertical game. So Jalen Hurts willing to take shots and being able to hit his guys downfield. But Jalen Hurts' overall stats today, even though it was not bad, this was his quote-unquote worst day, and he still ended up going 10 for 13, according to Elliott Shore-Park. So Jalen Hurts had a bit of a rough day, or the offense overall, say, had a rough day, even though it wasn't Hurts' fault. It said he was under pressure for a good portion of the plays. Of the 27 reps that he took, 13 attempts and 6 quarterback runs. Some were called runs, but a good portion were the result of broken plays and pressure. So again, Monday was a tough day, but not really Hurts' fault. It was more of just the defensive line getting in there. And, obviously they were the winners of today, as it says that the D-line had 3 sacks and probably could have gotten credit for more, but a few plays were blown dead. However, this is the one miss that Jalen Hurts did have today. And again, I'm not going to overreact to a miss. I'm not going to overreact to anything because it is training camp. They haven't even put the pads on yet. But Jalen has been very, 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 very good so far. And he did have one miss today, which was to John Ross down the middle of the field for what should have been a 40-yard touchdown. Ross beat his man and was open, but Hurts missed him. Have to make that throw in a game. Hurts' accuracy was probably the worst of camp today, but with the constant pressure, it is understandable, and the defense is getting more comfortable with each other. I will say one guy, John Ross, has been in the reports a little bit these last couple practices. Not a lot of people are even expecting him to make the roster, but for a good comeback story, it feels good to have this guy making some plays in training camp. Now let's hear what Coach Sirianni had to say about Jalen Hurts. He says that Jalen has been in complete control of the offense so far, and that's really the consensus. That's what we've heard from everybody. Hurts has done a great job maneuvering in the pocket and finding the check down, which is so key for this team moving forward. And, we went through that with Carson and then Jalen, right, last year, not making really good decisions at times and trying to force the extra throw or forcing himself into an interception or a fumble or whatever it is. So Jalen is starting to get more comfortable. It seems like Kellen Moore's offense is meshing well with what Jalen Hurts likes to do just thus far. And Nick Sirianni gives his quarterback a lot of praise. And obviously the connection between them is good. They dispelled that rumor the other day. But good to hear that Sirianni is confident in Jalen Hurts. And he also says that the wide receiver group that the Eagles have right now is one of the best he's ever had during his time in the NFL. He also highlighted Nolan Smith, Patrick Johnson, and Jalix Hunt as the 3 defensive ends that have been particularly tough and giving relentless effort. So Sirianni, high praise for some of these guys. I don't know if everybody on the first team got a lot of reps today, but it seems like a lot of these second team, third team guys emerged today as players to try to win certain positional battles. Now back on the offense, one guy at the wide receiver position that had a really good day was Johnny Wilson. And Zach Berman says that he was getting work on the inside with the ones. And if the Eagles do not add a wide receiver, they still have Paris Campbell, they could mix and match with the wide receiver 3 depending upon matchup and game plan. Wilson is a different type of player than Paris Campbell, the front runner for that spot, and John Ross has worked quite a bit with the ones this summer. So maybe the Eagles don't want to add somebody else. Paris Campbell also talked about the Philadelphia Eagles OTAs and his impressions as a new member of the team. He said from the first day, he was like, damn, we already grinding. What's going on? Usually at the start, it's chill. I asked people, were y'all doing this last year? And they're like, nah, bruh, we finished 1-7. It's not sweet anymore. And that is the mentality that I like to hear and to have on this team. And he said that Howie even called him after signing him and said, we know you have a big chip on your shoulder. I can tell you now, our whole team has that after last season. He made it clear that they're a hungry team and they want hungry players. That's what I like to hear. Every time Howie Roseman in his career has hit rock bottom, he comes back and surprises the entire world every single time. We'll end it off on the defensive side today because, like I said, the defensive side of the ball was much more impressive today. They won the day. And a couple breakout candidates that I think we could see a lot on the field this year from the Georgia Bulldogs are making their presence felt. Jordan Davis blew up the first play of practice, got into the backfield, and the play was basically dead right away. We know Jordan Davis is going to get more responsibility this year, and Vic Fangio wants to give him that if he is in shape. Same thing he said about Bryce Huff the other day, right? Wants him, to continue to grow as a player. And Josh Sweat, like I said that his movement skills, Vic Fangio said his movement skills will be numbers 1, 2, and 3 of whether he can regain his form. So Josh Sweat is really an X factor. I think if he shows up and can have a double-digit sack type of season, I think the Eagles will be in a lot better shape, and they really need that, right? Because Bryce Huff is still a bit of a question mark. Jordan Davis, still a question mark. Even guys like Nolan Smith, who showed up to camp today, and apparently Nolan Smith put on 7 pounds of muscle. He had a really good day today. He had 2 sacks in team drills, and he is listed as a potential breakout candidate for the Eagles in 2024. So the Nolan Smiths of the world, right? First round pick, Jordan Davis, Josh Sweat, who's obviously now in a contract situation, and this will probably be his last year as an Eagle. All these guys have the motivation to go out there, especially with how this season ended last year, and perform and dominate, right? Certain guys left the team, retired. Now you have to step in to those shoes and fulfill the capabilities of what this team needs to go out there and be a successful defense. You certainly can't come out and get embarrassed like you did last season. So a lot of breakout candidates starting to show up for the Eagles. Keep your eyes on cornerback, linebacker, and edge rusher. And at the end of the day, man, Eagles progressing through. It's crazy that in a couple weeks, they're already going to be playing a preseason game. But give me your thoughts down below. Who's the one breakout candidate that you want to see show up and show out for the Philadelphia Eagles this season? Appreciate everybody tapping in.
On BetMGM Casino, there are so many jackpots that you never know when one will go. So many jackpots. So many jackpots. BetMGM Casino. Jackpots. So many.
Download to get a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus $25 on the house. BetMGM Casino.